And we are live.
So just right off the bat, I'm just curious to know, blue milk, what do you think it tastes like?
What does blue taste like, right? Raspberries, maybe? I don't know. Blueberry, what's the Count Blueberry?
Count Blueberry. There's Count Blueberry. I was thinking like Blue Moon ice cream, which is kind of like cotton candy.
Right.
I think Meyer actually sold for a while some blue milk, and I don't remember what it tasted like.
Oh, dude, the sugar content, not for my age bracket. That was diabetes for me. I tried some of that. That was no good. Anyway, never again. We've got a guest waiting in the wings, so let's get this show started.
All right.
Spectre 2 reporting in. This is Vanessa Marshall, and I play Hera Syndulla on Star Wars Rebels. You're listening to the Hyperspace Heroes Podcast.
And now, on with the show.
Time for bladder check. 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 Wait. Screw it. I'm holding it.
It's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men.
Brown Squadron.
Podcasting, the final audio frontier. These are the legends of Brown Squadron.
Our computer is picking up a strange signal. Here, sir, you better take a look at it.
The ongoing mission? To explore the Star Wars universe and other nerd culture topics. To seek new content and new cantinas, bars, and lounges. To boldly annoy Scruffy by making too many bad jokes. Welcome to the Hyperspace Heroes Podcast.
All right, welcome to Hyperspace Heroes. This is Brown Leader signing in. All wings report in.
This is Brownie One signing in.
Brownie One, thanks for joining me tonight.
Happy to be here.
Right on. Thanks for joining. The guys are on special assignment tonight. Scruffy is getting a little shell-shocked, I believe, and DB is on the way to cheer camp. So he's got another cheer trip booked for this weekend. But we've got a special show tonight for everybody. Let's get that chat lit up tonight. And we have an actor, director, producer, someone with over 81 credits. We've been teasing this interview, really looking forward to it. Most recently, he's been Tony in Civil War. He's taken over the role of Takeo Masaki in Call of Duty Black Ops 7. He's doing the voices, I think it's Snake in Ghost of Yotai, if you haven't seen that game. Beautiful game. And then we most know him here on this show as the foil. He's not a villain. He's a foil, I would say, to Mon Mothma in Ahosoka, Mr. Senator Xiono, Mr. Nelson Lee himself. So let's bring him to the stage. Nelson, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us tonight.
And I think we had some pre-show banter about what blue Banta milk tastes like. I always think, Nestle used to have that stuff. I used to drink strawberry stuff all the time. It would just be like a blueberry version.
Yeah. That would make sense.
Right, exactly. Welcome to the show. One of the things we wanted to, first question we always kind of jump right into with our guest is, what does Star Wars mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge question to unpack, but it's really one of my best and favorite memories as a child, watching Star Wars. I grew up a little older. I grew up in the day where we rented, and it was before VHS. It was that Beta machine. It's like a big suitcase. It was like a metal suitcase that we would rent, and we'd get different Beta movies, and one of those was the Star Wars trilogies. I watched the first two with my brother, and it was just blew my mind. And it's just carried on throughout my life, and I think a lot of people have that same kind of feeling. It was just awesome to see this other world.
Right on, right on. Now, did you get a chance? So your first exposure was Betamax, or did you get to see any of it in the theater?
I didn't get to because we moved from Taiwan to Canada, East Coast Canada, when I was like in 1980, and so obviously the first ones were gone. But I was too young to go into theaters. My parents weren't theater types, so but the Betamax was my access.
Right on, right on. Everybody's got a great origin story when it comes to Star Wars. So what was what do you remember as your first experience with Star Wars?
I remember just loving the lightsabers on Yoda, and I loved the idea of the Force. Like I tried forever to move stuff, and my brother knew this, my older brother, and he was a jerk because he knew I always practiced when I was in the bathroom, like taking a bath. I'd always like try to move the door. And one day, like he was waiting outside and he moved it. And I was like, yes, I did it. I have the Force. And he's just like laughing. I was like, you dick. But yeah.
You don't got to rub it in. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, I did not have the Force. It was not strong in this one.
I mean, not yet that we know of. I mean, you never know.
Yeah. Right. And that was back in the era of sticks and pine cones as our weapons too, right? I mean, it was like whoever found the straightest stick was the Jedi. And then
exactly.
Right. And I see you got a nice collection behind you. So
I have a lot more around. My wife puts up with it, but it's become kind of a problem, and there's a lot more in storage and all around. But yes, she's always like, you should charge admission to people when they come over to look at the movies.
Right.
Now,
have you always collected, or has this just been something more recent?
It's kind of grown over the years. Like I've gotten some, and then I've kind of put them away, and then it goes in spurts. And now I've kind of like completely embraced it and just like flooded the home. And she's let me, which is, nice. There's always more to get. That's the crazy thing. It's a slippery slope once you go down these rabbit holes. Yeah, you just like, oh, I can do this, and original trilogy, and everything else, and then
and are you a completionist, or are you like you've just choice pieces and?
It depends. Like I'm a completionist in certain things. Like for instance, my vintage saber collection is like I have the OT Trinity. So I've got the Luke, the Obi-Wan, the Vader. So I do it in those kind of things. So those kind of pockets, and it's insane. The vintage whole collection things, as you all know, it's a whole nother can of worms. That's very expensive can of worms.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And we're gonna talk about con appearances later, but I know one of the cons that you're going to is it's all about vintage. So you're going to have a great time later this year. But okay, so since you're real into sabers, then that begs the question: Jedi or Sith?
Jedi. Right. Yeah. Jedi. Yeah. Although, it's one of those funny things. But when I was working on Star Wars, I was always asking Dave, like, is there any chance, like,
right?
Stand by for the
answer. So how did you, let's kind of take a step back a little bit, and how did you know acting was your thing? I mean, or was there another path that you were going on? And sometimes when interviewing people, we've found that they kind of just stumbled into acting. So what was this always your path, or did you have something else in mind?
No, it definitely wasn't my path. I loved it since I was a kid. I acted in school plays and stuff, but it never even like crossed my mind to dare to do it as a profession. I left it to people much better than I. And, I went to university for business. I started in business. I hated it. I took my first accounting class. I was like, and then I changed to a very useful degree in philosophy. Because I was like, if I'm in school, I may as well learn something I'm enjoying. I did that. Still did plays in college, which, to like kind of keep that fire going, but still didn't have the nerves to say I'm going to do that. Went and traveled and lived for a bit and studied in Europe, in the UK, and then lived in Prague for a bit, and during that time, I was kind of like, I know it's so lame to say like finding yourself, but I was like asking myself, what is it that brought me joy? Because I was kind of at a crossroads of like, I can't just keep, even though it was fun living like, this really bohemian life in Prague, I was like, I got to make a choice to do something. And I kept thinking about acting and how, performing in front of people brought me joy. And I kind of took the jump and applied to an acting school in New York, got in and went in. And the whole time it's terrifying. You're pretending to be like animals and you're like pretending to fake shave. And you're like, what the hell is this? Like, I'm paying for this, but and then you get out in the world and you're like, oh my God, this is hard. But it's the greatest honor and joy to be able to do what I love. So I've been lucky.
Right on. Okay, so you found it was your path. It was your thing. You're going into it. You've got over, I think it's up to 81 credits now on IMDb, which is just congratulations, and the fact that you've been able to do it for, I think it's you've been acting for about 24 years, longer than that,
maybe even more. I think I graduated in like 2001, so like 24, 25 years, which is mind-blowing. It's like, ugh.
That's about as long as I've been alive.
Shut up, Henry. Don't do that to people.
We do have a comment. Some of us still try that. That's in reference to trying to get things to use the Force to open it.
Yeah, I still try. Let's face it.
Yeah,
who doesn't, right? I do the other day. So I work at my day job. I work in a casino, and so we have surveillance all over the place, and we have motion activated doors. So just to delight surveillance, sometimes I will go up and I'll just be like,
you have to,
because they're motion and they're motion activated, so I know right where to go up, throw the hands up, and so now I've got that's for your people, guys, right?
There's like I think there's like a fad at one point of taking photos if you like jumped in the air at the right thing and held your arm up, and I did a lot of those to make it look like I was force choking people in the air.
Right. So one of the things, one of our co-hosts, DB, who's not on tonight, wanted me to ask, he and his wife are huge fans of SVU, and it seems like you've been on every version of Law and Order just about.
I have.
And they were commenting on the fact that you were in SVU roughly 15 years apart, playing two different roles. And what was that like? I mean, as Law and Order is such an iconic show, what was it like landing those roles and working with that cast?
It was amazing. I mean, my first two jobs out of school, I was immensely lucky, was Oz on HBO, and critically acclaimed, amazing show about prison on HBO, and then Law and Order, which was SVU. And I'm so green. I didn't understand editing. I thought that once they said action, everything I was on, that everything was on me. And you learned, and everyone was so kind. Like all those guys are legends, and the fact that they've been on so long, to go from that first episode on Law and Order and then to go to that one later on playing, I went from a perp to a cop. That's like the graduation in like Law and Order when you can actually do that, to go from a perp to a cop. It's kind of really, it makes you take stock. At one point, I think I went through there was a thing called Ghost Shadows, a gang I was supposed to be a part of, I think in Law and Order Criminal Intent, or maybe it was another Law and Order, I can't remember. And then later on I played another member of that same gang, but a different character. So I was basically all of Ghost Shadows at one point. But no, it's like that show, I'm immensely grateful for like that show, Oz, all those guys. They gave me my first break, and to do such high caliber stuff, and the fact that they can still do it 20 years more later on, it's amazing. Hats off to them.
And you and I kind of grew up in the same era, and one of the things when I was flipping through and we were talking about SVU, I came across this picture, and you and I are the same era. We grew up listening to hip hop and the early days of rap and everything. And was it kind of surreal to sit there on stage with Ice-T and be like, oh yeah, how did I get here?
Yeah, no. And the funny thing is, so that first job I did on SVU, I was getting arrested, and there's there was an extra cop, a cop that was an extra. And, and this is my first gig. So I'm like, I'll take the hits, and I'm handcuffed from behind, and he's just slamming me.
Oh, no.
Take after take, like face first into a van. And, and I'm taking it. And then finally Icy's like, hey, man, take it easy. It's just acting. No, you don't have to push him in. He's like, you okay? I was like, thank you, Ice-T. That was mind-blowing. And then you flip years later, and, of course, I'm not going to be like, hey, remember me? Because, of course, they know. But just in my head, I'm like, I remember starting with you, and now I'm like finishing sitting across, and now we're cops. We're on the same level, going through this. It's cool. And then talk to him he has like so many cars, and just talking to him about his cars, like he drives on a new car every day. It's pretty cool being Ice-T.
Yeah, I imagine it is. And it's just, I could only imagine how surreal that, to, like I said, just to be there sitting with him like that. What's been something that you've come up in the acting, because you went to school for it, you knew this was your path. What was something that, was kind of an aha moment, or something that you didn't, was just like, well, I didn't expect to learn that in the field of acting?
Interesting. I guess it's funny because you come out of acting school and you're like, I'm going to do everything. And you kind of, the thing that the aha thing is the patience thing. I think I learned along the way that everything isn't going to come at once. That, so many times you're like, this is the one. You're like, oh, no, it's not. This is the one. Like, oh, that's not it. This one, like I used to quit my bartending job in New York all the time and then come back in like 6 months, like, hey, you guys, need a shift covered, or it's that humility, I think, is the aha thing, that it's not like, because I think I got spoiled landing those great jobs right in the beginning. I was like, oh, this is great. And I think I had a Super Bowl commercial, and then I had this like mini series that I had like my face on buses. I was like, easy. And then you have like 2 years where you don't work. You're like, ooh, that sucks. That kind of learning it's a great thing. And whenever I get to like speak to the younger students, like my old school, my alma mater in New York will bring me in, I'll talk to them. I'm like, pump your brakes. Just remember, be grateful when you work. You get it. If you're lucky, you land a big job, buy the house. Don't spend it on dumb things, It doesn't always last. Yeah.
Right on. Henry, did you any questions?
Yeah, I was looking through your IMDb as well, just to look at some of the things you got some credits for, and one of them was that you have some directing credits as well. And I'm always curious to hear about actors' experiences on like the other side of the camera as well. And I was curious to know if what your experience is like with that, if you enjoyed it, if you found that it wasn't really your thing, or like just what your thoughts were as you were directing.
Yeah, I loved it. It's really illuminating to step on the other side, because you get so in your head as an actor, like, oh, what is this? Is this good? And sometimes it's funny. I think I realized that I actually sometimes would act and make choices directorially, like thinking like this would serve this well. So it kind of dovetailed well into doing it, and I really enjoyed it. Obviously I would never dare to call myself like like a director, because it's a very difficult job. There's a reason why the best are the best. And, but it's just fun to flex that muscle every now and then, and like learn something new, and kind of take the pressure off of yourself, and like think about everyone else, because that's your job. You're taking care of everything. You're taking care of the actors, the story. You're going to work with your cinematographer and your gaffers with the lighting and the look of it all. And that's the thing. You also learn. You learn as an actor as well, but it takes a village, a very large village, to make the most simplest looking thing. Like, you think it's easy, and there are some people that do it with just a camera phone, but the majority of things, it looks simple, but it takes a lot of people to make that happen, and that's the coolest thing. But yeah, I love doing it. I would love to keep doing it. If anyone ever wanted to give me a shot, I'd happily take it. And and I've always wanted to kind of shadow great directors if possible along the way, and just to see how they work, because it's cool watching how different directors do work. Some take care of the actors, some take care of the story, some take care of everything. And it's cool. And then there's no real right answer. Everything's so subjective.
Yeah, certainly. Something else I wanted to ask about too is like, with your experience in acting too, like I've always felt that, like, because my dad and I were both pretty big into movies, and like one thing that I've always felt that's like difficult to define is what I consider to be like good acting and what isn't? Like, do you have any like, I don't know, I guess barometer for how you like judge what whether you think like acting like nails the job or not? Because I feel like it's such a hard thing to describe, like whether someone has it unless you just kind of see it, you know?
Yeah, it is hard, and this is a taste thing too. Like some people just love certain actors and some people don't. Like, I definitely tend to probably lean, I grew up with, I remember watching like, I know every dude loves Godfather, but Godfather is one of those movies where I think about like acting when I watch Al Pacino or I watch, Fredo in that scene, say, you take care of me, like those powerful scenes or stillness, all that stuff. It's mind-blowing. Or, Marlon Brando, and they think about like Streetcar Named Desire, what he was doing next to all those people who were coming from the old era of like big acting, and here Marlon Brando is like catching a feather in midair, because he's in the moment, and that was so new. That is what I gravitate towards. Look, if you're honest, I believe you. If you're honest and you're going for it, I'm not a big fan of, just like trying to look good or cool, or, you can look cool, but you have to be doing good stuff, like that's the thing. I think a lot of people mistake like the product, and they're like, oh no, if I just do that, I'll be cool. It's like, no, when Al Pacino does stillness in Godfather, he has all the other stuff underneath. He's not just being still. Like, that's the thing people mistake. It's like, if I just don't move, I'm going to be just like him. I was like, nope, you won't. Because you don't have all the other stuff going underneath, and that's the thing, right? That's what I want to see. I want to see all that, the minutia working in their eyes when they're doing stuff, and it's magnificent what actors can do.
Absolutely.
So how do you when you get land a role, how much work do you do to prepare the role in terms of
Yeah, I do a lot. I mean, it's I came up in theater, so you just kind of like research your character, you read the script over and over again. That's the number one thing. You read the script, read the script, read the script, read the script. You come up with clues, anything that's talked about you, and then the stuff you don't know, you research. You got to find that out, and and there's most roles I don't know, what I'm supposed to be. That's the joy of it. If it was all stuff you knew, it'd be kind of boring. It's like, okay, yeah, I know it. Cool, roll camera. It's the great thing about kind of going in and delving into this other world where you got to learn how to think this way or feel this way, and sometimes it's conflicting, and that's the joy of it. You get to kind of explore other parts of yourself.
That's cool. So let's kind of we've been teasing the fact this is mostly a Star Wars show, so let's kind of jump into Xiono. And how did you land the role of Xiono?
Yeah, it's like super boring. I auditioned for it, but the thing is, it's it's a weird thing because it's so secretive. So we don't ever really know what we're going for. You just kind of know it's in like the world of Disney, maybe Star Wars, and I remember it was like a very quick audition, and I did it, and then it disappeared and went away. And that, as it does often, almost a year later, I get like a call like, "Hey, you booked it." I was like, "Booked what?" They're like, "This thing that we can't tell you what it is yet." I'm like, cool. It's like awesome, and then slowly it starts coming out. I'm learning like, oh, I think it's Star Wars. Like, oh, what? It's Star Wars. I was like, and then they're like, I think it's actually like a canon character. I was like, what? And so so that's even cool. But literally, I didn't find out most of this stuff until almost a day on set. They were very, very good at keeping secrets.
Oh wow. Okay, because you had done Milan a few years before, you were already kind of in the Disney pipeline, having done some stuff. So what were some of the other things that you were thinking it might be with all the secrecy before you kind of cued in on Star Wars?
I mean, that's the thing. You honestly, and it's not. I don't want to make it seem like I have so much going on that I can't keep track. It really is not that at all. It's sometimes you're like, I don't know what I went for a year ago. Like you just kind of lose track. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people think that, when they see it, they're like, oh, he just did it. It's like, usually we do this like years ago. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm in this. And it's a great thing. But yeah, it's funny.
Right on. So in the we all know, with Filoni, he loves to tie things together from the OT to the sequel trilogy. And Hamato's Xiono had first appeared in Resistance, voiced by Zima, the great actor Zima. And did you do any, before you did the live action version, did you do any, research on that side, watching Resistance, studying the character, picking up cues, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, and I always call him Ty from working with him. He's like the quintessential Asian father actor, like just empower, more than, he's just a great actor. And to have worked with him on Mulan was amazing. I mean, he was so good as the patriarch of that, and to Mulan. And yeah, watching him, I definitely watched Resistance after I got it just to watch what he did. And yeah, he's always just nailing it. And of course, like all things, the few times I've kind of worked on something that someone else has done, I don't ever try to imitate. I just take what they do as kind of research and to kind of show me some, decisions that they make, and to enlighten that. And then you kind of make your own choice on how you want to approach it.
And
so that's the whole thing. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, that was my next, that kind of leads into the next thing is, what did you do to kind of make Xiono your own? How did you, grab that, and how did you flush him out versus how much did, because we know Filoni loves his character types and everything. And so how much of it was you versus how much of it was, Filoni kind of saying, here's how I want him to be?
Yeah. I mean, Dave Filoni is the best. First of all, I mean, Star Wars couldn't be in better hands than with him. And he's so awesome. Like, I remember first day on set, and, of course I'm like geeking out, and, Dave just comes up and is just talking about everything about, Xiono and New Republic and everything with Kazuda and everything. And the great thing about him is he knows so much, and the writing is so great. So much of the work is done for me. It's kind of like they always say in Shakespeare, it's all done in the words. And it's kind of like that here. And then you just kind of put your little zhuzh on it, because the information is given to you, but he was so open always and that takes real kind of courage as a creative and leader to kind of like trust the people that you work with. I mean, I think Alex Scarlett, I got to work with him on Civil War, same brilliant director. And he just said, like, he creates the situations that lets the actors work in it. And that's similar, that you just trust that you have great people and you let them do their job while you create this world for them to play in. And that's very much what Dave does so well. And yeah, and you just get those lines and you kind of put that little dickish, lean on it, and ta-da.
Right. So we all kind of know Xiono as the top of Chopper's hit list now, right? From that scene. What did you tell us a little bit about the character in terms of how he plays into the story?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of awesome, first of all, to play a character that's been in Star Wars canon. His son, Kazuda, is a much more known character. And he's, and that's the cool thing, I think, and the redemption for my character, because, obviously right now, Kaz isn't born. I have this whole other life that's ahead of me, and that's good for me. Number one, I get to live a little longer. I escape Hosnian Prime. All those things. But it's the coolest thing about it is that it's all stuff that hasn't really been done. So we're creating it as we go. Dave is creating, I'm creating it. We're all doing it together. And it's knowing that it has to reach this point. And I always think, that's the thing, obviously a lot of people don't like me that much, and it's very fair. I get it. I understand why. But like you said earlier, he's not really a villain, and I don't think he is a villain. He may be taken as a villain, but I don't think he himself sees that. He's a politician, absolutely. Someone that thinks about himself, absolutely. And all those things can lead to some very bad judgment calls and decisions. But at the end of the day, he comes up and has a son and is, trying to steward him in a good way. Like he's not trying to take him in a bad direction. He just wants to keep him out of trouble and keep him out of the resistance, because, being a resistance pilot probably doesn't have a great survival rate. But yeah, it's so I think that's the coolest thing, finding all the nuance in there, not just like bad guy, father, there's all these other textures to this, and it's all unwritten still. And it's exciting to be a part of the initial chapters, to all this stuff that we know is coming. That's the beautiful thing about Star Wars. There's so much, right? You can start here, and and that's perhaps the tempting thing, and that could also be dangerous sometimes, because then you're like, I need to do everything. But that's why it's good that it's in Dave's hands. In Dave we trust, and yeah, he'll tell us in the right way.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and really, if you look at that, like the court scene, the hearing scene, which is the biggest scene, he's just questioning. And if you think about it, I mean, it's really the good guys that are, getting away with some things, and he's just trying to hold him to the line. He's trying to hold him to the honesty of the situation, and it's funny how that gets twisted around in that story. And that's why I kind of called it the foil, the foil of Mon Mothma, because it's, here they are, and it's those dastardly kids pulling their hijinks, and
yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile, the politicians just trying to hold people accountable, folks,
Yeah. There's rules, guys. There's rules. Yeah. I'm trying to enforce the rules.
Right. So Delphi Rangers, welcome to the show. Why is the New Republic so corrupt?
Well, I mean, that's just a political question. I mean, corruption, I think, that's that saying, power and absolute, it's just too much power. And I think that's the thing. Everyone's going for these things, and it's just there for the taking. And that leads to all this corruption. Obviously you have great people like Mon Mothma, really trying to do the right thing and steer us in the right direction. And again, it's really a villain and a hero is sometimes just a matter of dates, because someone who's a hero this time is actually a villain later on. And it just depends on which side you chose and which one gets lucky. And that's it, and clearly sometimes you side with the wrong one. But that's the fun thing about it. There's so much of it that mirrors real life. I mean, that's I think the great success of Andor was that, just getting to be so you're like, wow, this is talking about like now. So
yeah, right on. What are some of well, actually we'll get into that here, but so were you a fan of the EU, the books growing up? Because this comment from Adelphi definitely, when your character spoke to me of this character from the EU, which is and for those listening at home, the Adelphi Rangers chimed in, did you read any of the EU novels and see Borsk Fela attitude and actions?
I did not. So yeah, it's there's so much, and I feel bad. I always mean to go back and read that, but I haven't. Yeah, but I would love to, because I speak to my friends and the fans who love it, and clearly there's just so much. Yeah. I need to sequester myself for like a year and just like go through.
Right. Well, it's in the Heir to the Empire books, and which is kind of a little bit of that is definitely getting, Filoni. He pulls from everything, and and that's what your character, and that's kind of why that character is a Bothan in the EU in the Heir to the Empire books, and he is the foil to Admiral Akbar, who's kind of in the Mon Mothma role of the canon universe. And same kind of thing. He's a politician. He's asking questions. He's like, is this really a threat? I don't think it is. And that kind of thing. And so that's where that comparison kind of comes from. So,
and I think it's such a true thing that, we think about politicians, especially if he's like, cause he's always in denial. Like I keep saying, Thrawn's gone. God, he's not coming back. And then, it's like you want to see him like at home seeing Thrawn, like, oopsie.
Right. What's the Leo DiCaprio meme where he's like, snapping at the TV, right? When Thrawn comes back to the universe. Henry, questions?
Actually sort of, I know we were kind of on a bit of a Star Wars tangent, but I actually was curious to hear about something, because you'd mentioned Alex Garland working on Civil War. What was that like?
It was amazing. It was one of my, like, if I think about like, favorite projects, like Star Wars is most fulfilling for the child in me and a lot of other things. But Civil War was just, as an actor, something really powerful and important, just because of, I have a small nothing role, but it was such an amazing thing to work with Alex on that film. And the way that he worked was so intriguing and illuminating. It was like one of the greatest exercises of my acting career, just doing that one horrific scene. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but it's we did that for like all day, like one scene, no cuts, over and over again for hours, like all day. I was being like murdered. Sorry, spoiler alert. But just and it was so interesting to do that over and over and over and over and over and over, and just and he kind of just left us alone, just like, that's, again, like you were talking about directing, like when it's so interesting, because I you get self-conscious, like, am I doing something wrong? He's not talking to me, and you realize, oh, he's not talking to me because he likes what I'm doing, and it's such an interesting thing, because you can get like really insecure, like, oh, no one likes me, and you're like, oh, no, they're just like, you're doing your job, keep going. And it was wonderful, and all the getting to work with Wagner Moura and Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons and and Kaylee Spaney, like it's that alone, it was just cool. Like, it's like you have a lot of, at least I do, imposter syndrome moments when when I'm like talking to C-3PO, or I'm sitting in a van with Wagner and Kirsten Dunst, like what the hell? Like, do they know I'm not supposed to be here?
Go ahead, Henry.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, like, if because you said that you were there like all day, like were there any like in all of like your like experience with acting, like did you ever have any days like that where like you were really like pushed, like in terms of your like acting abilities, where like, because you've mentioned that like you've worked with different directors and they've definitely had different ways of approaching it, and I'm just curious to know if there's like whether it was them or just the part itself that like you really had to sort of step outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I hate to go back to Civil War again, but that was I think that's why I really kind of cited as one of my favorites, just because it really pushed me past something that I didn't even know I could do. And the thing is, we started that scene and, you make a strong choice. I didn't know we were going to do it for the rest of the day, over and over and over again, and, you don't know where the cameras were, because he was shooting all different angles and different cameras, and it was like theater in a way. So it absolutely pushed me to my limits. I remember after like the 100th time being shot, and just like convulsing on the ground, and blow my nose, and then go walk across the field to go start again. I remember like Kirsten and everyone was like smoking, and I had quit smoking a long time ago. I was like, can I have a cigarette? Because I was just like so emotionally draining, and but it was awesome. Is it really dark for me? Because give me 1 second. I'm going to turn on my kitchen light, because I was using natural light and now I'm like in pitch black.
Yeah, right on. Henry taking it to theater 101's class here.
I'm a bit of a nerd here.
Right on. Yeah, much
Love
better.
It. Sorry. I'm sorry. Now it's going to edit terribly. I'm totally ruined it. Right.
No, you're fine.
I thought they usually turn on by themselves, but it didn't. So I was like watching myself get darker and darker. Like, I'm sorry.
At least you caught it, I mean.
Right.
Yeah. By the end, I'm just like complete darkness.
Yeah.
Right. A comment from Adelphi Rangers. That's not Thrawn. That's just some other blue guy talking about.
Yeah,
it's just some other chiss that's come into the galaxy with a whole armada.
Yeah,
right. Right. Exactly. And fade to black. Right on. So obviously we hope to see you again as Xiono. We want to see more of the character. I think there's a lot of intrigue that can be there, so we hope to see you in Ahsoka season 2. Not gonna ask you, because I know we know how those things roll. Let's talk a little bit about, because we're kind of a nerd show. People are into a lot of different genres, and you were in a show called Stargirl as the Dragon King, which I found. Let me pull that up. I found the costume amazing, and tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah,
role.
I mean, so it was such an honor to be on that show. First of all, I mean, it's like the history of it. So I worked on this. We did the first, I mean, arguably the first Marvel television show before with Marvel Studios called Blade. We made a Blade TV show after Blade 2. No, Blade 2, yeah, or 3, Blade 3, where David Goyer directed and Ryan Reynolds, and they had real beef because he was kind of anyway. But we made the TV show, and one of the great writers on it was the legend Jeff Johns, and I didn't know who he was back then, but I remember going with him to like a comic store, and it was like a cutout of him. I was like, "Is that you?" He's like, yeah. But so it was like really cool to work with him then, and then flip forward like decade or so more, well, a couple decades, and he calls me, and Stargirl, based on his sister passing in a terrible commercial airline crash, and he created Stargirl for Courtney to remember her, and he asked me to come out and do this role, and and it's cool to take a role that's not done, Dragon King in the comics, obviously a little dated, but it was cool to bring this like the unknown character to life. And that costume was everything. It was very difficult. I mean, it's I don't know why anyone would want a cape, especially we were in Atlanta in the summer and like out of a wool cape. I fell down all the time. You can't walk backwards in the cape, or stairs are difficult too. So if you ever run into a villain, just make them walk backwards downstairs. That's their kryptonite. There's a lot of videos of me falling down, but it was so cool. I mean, it was so awesome to be a part of that show.
There's a no to capes, right on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. She was right.
From Adelphi Rangers, thanks for turning on those lights. I spy a couple Voltrons and Robotech statues. Yes, I was going to bring up the Robotech. So Robotech fan.
Oh my God, I loved it. It's funny. Me and my brother loved it, and I loved the progression of it. And I remember it always would cut off when it got to the Mosquitas, and then it would like get to the middle of that, and then flip to the beginning again, and it would always be like, no! And it did it over and over again to me and my brother, and we would lose our minds. We're like, no, now it's going to progress. And so it took years later. I had to, get the DVDs or VHS, I think, and watch them to their completion. But yeah, loved it. So cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
the theme song still lives rent free in my head to this day. Absolutely, Henry.
Yeah, actually, I was honestly going to ask about your collection as well. Is there anything that you feel like is like your like crown jewel, or like something you really like to show off to people, like if you're ever showing something?
The vintage, all vintage Obi-Wan from New Hope. That's definitely the one. Although, honestly, I kind of also love my Luke Cave hilt from Jedi. It's to me, sometimes obviously the first kind of Graflex one is classic, but there's something about him coming back in Jedi with this like cool, and then they didn't even use that one usually in the shots. It was a different one. That's the cool thing too, learning all the geek lore about like why it turned green, to show up against the sky, and all those like cool kind of things that, they did, and they're like, oh, let's justify why we changed to green, and then you create all this other back lore about to create crystals and all that stuff.
Yeah, right.
The whole Kyber crystal, history and everything. So,
I mean,
question
would they
from
sell at Disney if they didn't have that?
Exactly.
Right.
So from Droid Bait, when do we get a Xiono action figure?
I don't know. I want to know too. We all need just like should be like a voodoo doll, just like a Xiono voodoo doll.
Right. Yeah. Vincent, if you're listening, if you're not listening tonight, if you listen back to this playback, you need to do a carbonite, because Nelson is going to be at ICCC, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But we have a friend of the show. He does kind of a fun line of characters. He calls them carbonites, and they're just it's a whole line.
That's awesome.
And awesome. He's got one. The actor that plays Dr. Pershing is going to be at ICCC, and he's got
I love him. I mean, he's my bud.
And so I'm going to definitely bring that down. Awesome. I'm going to bring him down, but Vincent, if you're listening, when you listen to this, you need to do an Ahsoka set with Xiono, and so that we can bring that down to him. So make that happen, sir.
Vincent.
Right. Yeah, show Roderick Endek chiming in. There definitely needs to be an action figure. Right on. And then yeah, Delphi, start lobbying Carbonites to make Space Law and Order set right now.
That would be, look, come on, like I think I watched a cop show the other day in space. So we can do this. We can make Law and Order in space. It'd be great.
Right, that'd be awesome. So it looks like you're starting to you're picking up voice work. You've had some recent projects like we mentioned, Call of Duty, and you took over the role of Takeo Masaki, and again, previously voiced by a legend, the legendary Tom Kane, who did that role and has done so many things. I mean, if you know anything about animation and video games, Tom Kane is one of the guys. Yep. So how was that kind of, how did you take that role and kind of make it your own?
Yeah, again, kind of like what I was talking about, the same thing with Taimai, with Xiono. It's, just the Tom is a legend. There's nothing I could ever do to even imitate or replicate what he was able to do. So the thing is, we wanted really to show all the respect and bring a new, not even improved, just new version of Takeo, and and just to kind of honor him. And, that's the thing. It's the greatest honor to take over from what he did with it. And the fans of Zombies and Call of Duty have been so warm and welcoming. That's the coolest thing. Because, I understand, I'm taking over a very revered part from a very legendary actor. I understand, that's why I wanted to give him as much kudos as possible and say that we're not replacing him. We're just doing a new version, with respect to everything he laid out for us. And that being said, it's been a lot of fun, just having fun with this character and in this crazy, insane world, like every day. Just that's the funnest part, just like hearing these maps that we're making and and all the kind of cool traps and weapons that we're talking about, and finding the humor when there's a time for it, and finding the seriousness, because he's this legendary warrior, samurai that's thrown in this thing with all these other guys with Richtofen and all these other cool characters. But it's so awesome to be a part of it.
Is doing voice work a new thing for you, or had you done it?
It is. I mean, I've done it a little bit before, but it's especially doing mocap, like doing that with Ghost of Yote. That was so much fun. I did a few things for Secret Level before that. But yeah, Ghost of Yote, that was like a great experience, just to really, because it's funny, you think that it'd be kind of cumbersome and it is in the beginning. You have this huge helmet with this like camera in front of you and all these suit that no one looks good in. But but it actually, after you get over that, it feels like you're in acting school again, because you're using like blocks as a horse, or you're holding just a stick and that's your knife or your sword or your gun, and it's just cool. You're playing make believe again. And it's also really cool. Sometimes you see up on the screen, you'll just see your like avatar, and you're just like, just can't help but go up to people, like pretend to like whack them in the head, or it's all fun.
That's hilarious. Are you doing? So is this kind of a new thing for you? You're going to be doing more projects with voice?
Yeah, still currently working on a couple of things. So it's been really fun, and there's so much going on and so much content being put out. So it's really fun to explore a new kind of avenue, and it's still acting. I mean, that's the thing. I have a lot of great friends who are phenomenal voice actors, and the thing, I think a lot of times people like distinguish. Oh no, they're not. They're a real actor. They're voice actors. No, voice actors are real actors. Like, these people are phenomenal. They're acting. There's nothing different. Even if their face isn't on there, they are giving everything they have in that booth, and all the respect of the actors.
Right on.
I'm very curious to know too, actually, how much of that is how much room are you given to improvise with stuff like that? Is it all scripted?
There's a lot of room for improvisation, and especially tonal improvisation is very much encouraged. So even if you get a little blanket, kind of an idea of a line, you can definitely play, and they encourage it. They want you to. And, because they're just going through and cramming out like lines and dialogue, trying to forward in, and I come in. I'm only looking at this, so it gives them a breath of fresh air. It's like, oh shit, I never thought about that. It's and it's fun. It's so fun.
Right on. And according to Roderick Endek, acting is acting. Right on.
100%, 1000%.
Right on. Okay, so with you're hitting the con circuit this year. You're going to be making some appearances, and I think we were kind of talking off air before the show. This is kind of a new thing for you, doing the con circuit.
It is, yeah. I got to do because I haven't, really been in the world. I mean, I've done some stuff that would be definitely con worthy, but I just no one approached me. I never did it. Wasn't a judgment at all. I was just like, well, no one's talking to me about it. So, but I started seeing friends doing it. And I was like, that sounds great. And so I reached out to some people, and my first one was like a Star Wars kind of Ahsoka based one that we did in the UK, and that was so much fun. Got to meet Omid and all these great people that were over there, like Mary, Ivanka, everyone. It was it's great because whenever why everyone's there, it's really cool and you feel involved. I did another one where it was like, and I remember Omid was like, be ready. There are going to be some that are kind of like humbling, and and I had mine. It was like in Texas, and it was a great con. But I remember we were like kind of by the bathroom, and all the main people were like being like kind of directed into another direction, and people would just like come by and just kind of. But it's good. I get it. But yeah, no, it's been really fun to be. And the main thing is meeting the fans. The fans are like so cool. Like it's so amazing that you think you do this thing and it means so much to their lives, and it's so real, and it's awesome to meet them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing I love about cons too is that despite what goes on online, because playing Xiono, I'm sure you've gotten the highs and the lows of the comments, in the comment sections, and so but at a con, right, and we know in the Star Wars fandom especially, there are segments of it that that can be a little trashy, and we jokingly say nobody hates Star Wars more than a Star Wars fan, but but that's online, and at cons it's just a completely different story, and it's all love, and it doesn't matter whether you're an OT, a prequel kid, a sequel kid. We're just there for the same thing, and that's just to celebrate the fun,
exactly. And I think I think also as artists, you have to take the hits. I mean, people are gonna have opinions, and no one has an opinion more than a fan. And this is across genre, every genre. No one wants to take down something more than someone that loves it with everything in them. And that's just the weird thing about things that we love. Like the people that want to destroy it are the people that love it the most. Like I'm gonna choke this puppy to death. But yeah, it's just what it is, and you gotta just take it. And I think like a lot of times, I remember even just doing Blade, and that was back like during MySpace. This was before any like Facebook and stuff. And you'd read. It was the first time reading stuff, and I'd be like, oh no, that's some would be nice, and you're like, oh, that's awful. And then you just learn to not really read them, or just to not let it affect you. Yeah. It's this is someone's opinion. And that's it. Right.
Yeah. Do you have some upcoming con appearances? One of our commenters, the Delphi Rangers, any plans on cons in the Northeast part of the United States?
Yeah, I'd love to. Look, I'm from Canada, from the East. So I would love to go anywhere in the East. But right now, the only things I got going, I think I have Fanboy Expo in Knoxville in March, and then ICCC, as we were talking about, in Nashville in June. So I'm really looking forward to those, and hopefully a few more pop up in the next few months. But just anytime, I'd love going around meeting people, meeting fans, and also every con is different. So I'm excited to learn all this new stuff, and also what I love is after do a little bit of signing, get a break, just to walk around and to try not to buy everything. Right. There's so much cool stuff. I remember it's just like, how do you not go broke every time? Like,
it's a tall order. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's going to be, and as a collector yourself and into vintage stuff, ICCC is going to be a challenging one for you, because that's all built around, it started with a Facebook group that the Imperial Commissary collectors, and it's all about the vintage, the 77 to 87 stuff, and it's there's so much vintage there. It's crazy. It's very Star Wars centric, but they've got other stuff too. Last year they had a whole TMNT movie reunion. They had they had like 6 of the actors from the TMNT movies. So Mike tries to mix it up, but it's very Star Wars centric, and I think you're gonna when you get a chance to walk the floor, it's very impressive with the stuff that you find. And Scruffy, one of our co-hosts, he's real into that vintage. He's trying to collect every single piece from when we were kids, and I've seen him drop some pretty big coin on some of that stuff.
Yeah, no, it's the cost of that nostalgia is not cheap, but it's worth it once you get it. And then you're like, but it is funny because then you get it and you're like, okay, because sometimes the getting it is the thing. Mm-hmm. Then you like move on to the next. It's like, no, now I need that one. But it's never ending. But it's so fulfilling though. It's you just have to control yourself. Like I think sometimes I'd see like especially like posters and stuff. I'm like, I can't go. Don't go in. Just don't go over there. Just stay away. You're like, you want to see anything? It's like, no, I don't. No, I don't.
Exactly. So yeah, I think you're gonna have a blast there. And for everyone listening out there, we always pump up ICCC because we're big fans of that show. And they did just announce another celebrity today. And obviously we've shown this many times. This is Nelson's card for ICCC, so make sure you come on down to see Nelson. But a very cool addition that they just added today was Howie Weed.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that is going to be very cool. So that's going to be very cool. One of the other cool things that he does at these cons is he brings in a lot of the he has some of the original toy makers from Kenner that come in. They're there every year. Last year we had Roger Christensen, who is a special. Yes, I mean, great guy. Who else? John Goodson. He's had John Goodson, who is the guy that kind of designed the Razor Crest and some other stuff from the prequels. So he gets a lot of those behind the scenes people too, where you're kind of as nerd fans, we're like, okay, cool.
Roger was at the one in Texas, and I resisted as much as possible, and then finally I just like assaulted him with like a bunch of questions because on the Obi, one of the things is like a wash tap, like from a sink knob basically, and everyone's like, does it say hot on it or is it cold? And he's like, no, I took it off because I didn't think Obi-Wan would be making a hilt out of a sink knob. I was like, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Right? Yeah. We had a chance to talk to him at ICCC last year, and we ended up talking about the Prometheus, the ship from the original Alien, because he designed the cockpit interior.
Yes.
And that was such a, and he used the word, they were given they were told to make it feel claustrophobic. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh my gosh, because it does. When you think back to that original cockpit in that ship, it's like, wow.
I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, and all the Geiger stuff. I mean, it was just talk about that's a whole nother thing. Like I can't show you, but I have like an Alien's pulse rifle. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but
that's cool. That's very cool. That's
ridiculously
very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, all right, folks. So definitely check out the cons that he's going to be at. Also, where can people follow you on your socials so they can keep up on where you're going to be appearing at?
I'm terrible on social, but you can find me. It's at Malenky, Malenky, which is from Clockwork Orange.
You know what? I was gonna ask because I love it when stars have like their traditional, like you and I, we go way back. We started our social media names at a different time, and it's like I love it. So that comes from Clockwork Orange. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Clockwork Orange. Yeah, it's funny because I have a Gmail, which is like I use like stuff from Clockwork. Also, like talk about like, and this is me outing myself. Back in Hotmail days, I was really into the song Ghetto Superstar, and I made my Hotmail name Supasta. And I started my Apple account with that stupid email, and I can't change it. And so all the time when I go to the Genius Bar, like, what's your email? I was like, It's SULT. like yeah, okay. It's a very old. You won't let me change it, you jerks.
I know, right?
Hotmail the goat, also Earthlink.
Yeah. Yep. Right on. Unboxing, welcome to the show tonight. Yeah, you've been missing it so far. So definitely watch the rewatch. Once this gets posted up. Do you have any sorts of projects that you have coming up that you're able to talk about?
I do, but I unfortunately can't talk about them, but
Okay.
they're going to be really fun. Yeah, it's going to be, just keep an eye out. It should be really fun.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, we do another segment really quick if you want to stay on with us, or if you need to go.
Sure, let's go.
Okay, right on. So we do a collection corner segment. So let me choose. Let me grab the music really quick.
I want it all. Hey, yeah. I want it all. I want it all. Hey, yeah. I want it all. And I want it meant now.
So you haven't heard that yet, Henry, have you?
No, I have not.
that's new. So yeah, we do a collection corner segment where we kind of go round table. If there's anything people want to show off, any collections, any new pieces of their collection. I've also got a couple pictures that viewers sent in of some items that they have. Because every week, for everybody watching, if you have things added to your collection, because that's a part of what we do, as you can tell, send in your pictures. We're more than happy to show those during collection corner. But Henry or Brownie One, have you anything you wanted to show off this week?
Yes. So I work at an auto parts store, and I deliver to one of the shops that's right next to our store, and he has a 3D printer. And so he's usually making stuff, but anytime he wants to test out like a new material that he has, he'll make me stuff, because I mentioned that you do this podcast. So he's always making me Star Wars stuff. So he made me this this little Death Star that opens up. So it's kind of hard to see.
Oh, that's cool.
And it'll slide down. It kind of spirals. So it's kind of got this little spiral pattern, and then it just collapses. And then I also got on a similar one but it's a stormtrooper helmet. So you can
that's cool.
Oh my god!
And it's kind of got the jagged slices through it, it looks like it's been sliced by a Wookiee hand or something.
God!
And then it does the same thing, kind of spirals, and then you can just close it. So he's always making stuff, and he's just here, I just made this for you, so here you go. He'll call and be like, "Are you working today?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then he'll just here you go. So he's always making. He said he wants to get a big one that can make stuff that's as big as we are. So
make
I'm sure I'll be getting full size, Wookiees at some point here soon.
No, I resist the urge so badly to buy that, and I don't want to kill my wife with a big 3D printer and just I'll be nonstop making Star Wars stuff.
I'm sure it was already hard to barter for the space you've got behind you there. So a full 3D printer probably might be hard.
There's a lot more.
Oh, I bet.
So yeah, no, that's cool. Henry, thank you. So Nelson, is there anything recently that you've kind of added to the collection in terms of, I see the Voltron stuff down there, very cool. Go Lions.
Newish, obviously these are, I could just show off. Let me see what is. I guess this was although actually, you know what I got? Well, I don't want to pull them out. I got the Matchbox Voltron, kind of newish, but that took me a little while to get. Let's see. There's this one that a buddy of mine, he makes these hilts all the time. And this is the stunt prop from New Hope. It's motorized, so it actually spins. So you can put the thing where it actually spins with the reflective tape, and it just looks like the tech that they used. All made with vintage parts. Thank you, Shane. But yeah, this is a super cool piece, and it's got a little battery pack that would go into the sleeve, and it would just push this button and it would
that's very cool.
It's crazy that this is
that's awesome. Very, very cool.
I just love seeing the old tech that they use, and it still looks awesome.
Right. Let's see. So for the only thing I had to add for this week, Mrs. Brown Leader found this at a one of her thrift runs and picked this up. We have an 11-year-old grandson, so perfect thing. I think there's some cool experiments in here, some cool projects that I think we're gonna have to do. I think the first one I'm going to try is the what is it? I think I got to go with the R2D2 holo projector. And
Nice.
I think I got to figure that out and do that with the grandson because I think that'll be a lot of fun. So shout out to my wife, Mrs. Brown Leader. She loves her thrift shops and she always keeps an eye out for cool, awesome, different Star Wars stuff like that. So, and then from our listeners and viewers, I am Anakin on Twitter. Let me find his pictures that he sent in. And why do I not have those here? Where'd they go? Okay, I'll have to pull them up on my phone really quick. So
I want to show you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are these not?
So I'd mentioned this, so I thought I'd have to show you.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Let me introduce you to a personal friend of mine.
All right, you win this week. That's for sure.
Yep. Unanimously.
But it's the best.
Oh, dude, that is sick. Absolutely sick. That is
amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let me get where is it? I just want to show this off for one of our listeners really quick. And here we go. Okay, so cool little he picked up some great finds, picked up some of the holiday edition Black Series, $7. So you can't go wrong. Great price on that, without a doubt. So again, I am Anakin's father on Twitter or X. It's always going to be Twitter for me. And then the other thing, which I thought was really cool. Now this is really cool. So
cool.
this comes with a backstory. So he says, back in 1999, I worked at my local Kmart, saved these 2 signs from the toy section after they were done being used. My oldest son was born of June that year. So definitely some cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So definitely
some history. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Some
Like it still blows my mind to think about how long ago those prequels were. Like it's kind of crazy.
Right. Yeah. Right. I would love to see that final fight. I'd love to see Duel of the Fates again in the theater, and I would love to see the final fight with Obi-Wan and Anakin in the theater again. I think that would be
great. They were out recently when I didn't get to see it, but it'd be I'd love to see it with like an orchestra.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
that would be fantastic.
That'd be
Duel of the
phenomenal.
Fates. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pulse rifle is awesome.
Yes. And the winner is absolutely the pulse rifle. Maya, welcome to the show. I thought my Nerf pulse racer was awesome. Nope, I think you got to have something.
I mean, it's pretty much it's just another airsoft that's been highly modified.
So okay, all right, that was Collection Corner, and we're gonna do we got one more segment. It's the cringiest segment of the show that we do every week, and that is our Star Wars dad joke of the week.
I think it's the reason that people keep watching.
All right, this is what everyone waits for.
Dad joke of the week. Time to annoy Scruffy and DB. Dad joke of the week. All right, Star Wars dad joke of the week, courtesy of Kelly Knox's Star Wars Dad Jokes. Volume 2 is on order. I can't wait to get that one in. So this week's Star Wars dad joke of the week. Why did the Mon Calamari give the Rebel fleet their ships?
Why?
They're not shellfish.
They're
calamari.
That was Dad Joke of the Week of the week. Now don't you feel absolutely complete?
Well, Nelson, this has been an absolute joy. We really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing some time with us. And I hope you had a good time on the show.
I had a great time. There's so much fun.
Right. And again, tell everybody where they can find you on your social media.
So you can find me on Instagram at Malenky, Malenky, and you can see me at the cons, Fanboy in Knoxville in March, and ICCC in June in Nashville. So hope to see some of you there, and whatever other ones come up, I hope to see all of you there.
Right on. So give him a follow, find his con appearances. We're going to be at ICCC too, so hopefully we can hook up with you down there, Nelson, and see you while we're down there.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we sign off, one of the things that we do on the show, all of our guests become honorary members of Brown Squadron. And so with that, you get a flight designation and a call sign. And if you ever want to come back on the show, you're welcome to join us and nerd out anytime you want to. So you're going to go down in the record as Brown 86. And we normally, all of our call signs come from Star Wars. Obviously, we save the named characters for the performers that actually perform them. So if you wanted Xiono or Hamato as your call sign, you're more than welcome to have them. Or if there's something else, is there a kind of a Star Wars nickname that you've always liked or enjoyed that you've wanted to call yourself? What would be
I mean, I would be remiss not to use Xiono as my call sign, just to hearken to this guy. But yeah, or douchebag. either or.
Why not both? No, I'm just kidding.
right.
Hamato douchebag.
Brown 86. Hamato douchebag.
Yeah, make that my call sign. I'll take Xiono douchebag. Yeah.
You got it. All right. You are definitely going on the record in that, or going on the logs as that. So welcome to the crew, sir. And like I said, you're welcome back to you're welcome to back onto the show anytime you want to nerd out. You've got an open invitation. So
I'd love to. It was so much fun.
We had a great time. So yeah. Everybody follow him, give him a follow on his social, Malenky on Instagram, and watch for his upcoming projects. Hit those con appearances, come show him some love and support on the show. So all right.
I'll be by the bathroom.
Well, where else would we put the douchebag? I mean, come on.
Exactly.
So we'll make sure that people have plenty to drink so that they have to stop by.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah, so this is just want to say thank you to everybody for watching tonight. Thanks for tuning in. And you know where to find us. You can find us on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, X, Blue Sky. You can email us at Gmail or brownsquadron@gmail.com. You can find all of our links at beacons.ai/Brown Squadron. And then one of the things that we do, Nelson, when we sign off the show, after I do the final sign off, you'll hear Henry and I say, "That's no moon." That's how we close the show. You're welcome to join us if you'd like. And to close out the show. So, all right, with that, this is Brown Leader signing off for the crew, and you have been listening and watching Hyperspace Heroes. That's no moon.
That's not a moon.
Oh, yes, the joyous sprinkles.